Hello everybody. Welcome to another live stream. I hope everybody is doing really well and that everybody's having a good day. I am here. We're ready to get started. I am trying something a little bit different. LG, how's it going? Welcome. Hold on. I forgot to open my chat. I'm reading the name just from what I can see on the screen, but it's in purple and it was right on my face and I couldn't see it. Give me a second here. Give me a second. I forgot to open the chat. I forgot to open the chat. I'm so unprepared. Okay, LG7B. Yes, I did get the name right. I saw it on screen now. How you doing? Welcome to the stream. I hope everything is going well for you. We're here and we're getting started. I am really looking forward to getting back to some Elden Ring, which we are about to start any second now. I'm trying something slightly different on my end because I've been struggling a little bit with the audio on my side. It seems like my stream sounds okay for everybody else, but in my ears, I'm using noise canceling headphones, and what I'm running into is that the Sony noise canceling system allows your voice to slightly leak through into the microphone. I didn't realize that. I thought that it fully just canceled as much as it could, but it actually has been tweaked so it allows your voice to kind of sync through. But what's happening is there is a sync difference between the microphone on the headset and the microphone on my Go XLR. So when I'm talking, my Go XLR and my microphone at the same time sounds like I have an echo. And it makes it really hard for me to talk because I'm constantly hearing an echo in the background. But the way that I have it set up right now, I'm using just what's built into the headset, but it's so quiet that I still feel like I have to yell. And the whole reason I'm using noise canceling is because like my house is pretty quiet, but the main reason I'm using noise canceling is because I have jump scares enabled. Okay, what if I do that? Does that help? Okay, so I can kind of hear myself a little bit better. I enable jump scares and stuff, but in order to get freaked out, I have to have volume like relatively loud in order to like really drown out the outside noise and to be absorbed into what's happening, and then the jump scares will get me. The problem is that the jump scares are not as scary when the volume is turned up because it's at the same level as everything else. But when I have the noise canceling on so I can have the volume at a lower level, the echo is really distracting, which then again makes the jump scares hard to kind of deal with. So I'm trying to find an equal balance because I have ear damage, mainly because I performed in a live band for so many years, and having my volume turned up at max all stream long ends up with like a lot of tinnitus at the end of the day. So I'm trying to like lower the volume to like 3/4, halfway to 3/4, so I can at least, you know, still have my hearing at the end of the day, but still have the jump scares freak me out. So that's kind of why I'm messing with the sound in my own headset. Like right now, I just turned on the monitor on the Go XLR, but I have it super quiet. So now it just sounds like a reversed echo. Before it was like my voice was really loud and the headset was echoing. Now it sounds like the microphone is echoing and my headset is there, but I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it's there. Oh well, I'm gonna try anyway this way. Nikki, nice to see you. Weewin, hello. I'm good. So there is, Weewin, there's a on the Go XLR, there is a direct feed from your microphone straight to your headphones. There's not really a delay with that. What I think is happening is the headset, my built-in noise canceling has a slight delay because obviously it's got to go from my voice into here, get processed, and through my ear. Whereas the Go XLR apparently goes right through without processing it, so there's no delay included. But the headset, I think, has a slight delay, so it's adding just a bit of an echo sound. It's a really weird feeling because it doesn't really sound super delayed. It's just a slight delay. Did something happen? My phone went off. The audio changed again. Sorry. Was that Weewin? I'm guessing that was Weewin. Sorry, Weewin. No, it was Ryan. Ryan, I'm sorry, man. I didn't have the audio set up to come through the speakers. It's a scam. It's a scam. I'm ripping everybody off. I'm trying to be the new Elon Musk. I am the new Elon Musk. Okay, here we go. The delay. The delay. So I click it and it's always varied. Sometimes it takes like, it's instant. As soon as I click it starts screaming. Sometimes I click it and it takes 2 or 3 seconds. Sometimes it's like half a second. So it still gets me. It's not as good as like a real jump scare, but there we go. There we go. Sorry, Ryan. I played VR yesterday. So for some reason, when I play VR, it switches the audio to the Oculus, but then it never switches it back when I'm done playing VR. So that's what happened last night. I was playing Half-Life Alyx for a bit, and I forgot to switch it back when I got on the computer, because it automatically switches to the Oculus when I turn on the VR, but it never turns it back to the regular audio when I turn off the VR, so it's kind of frustrating, so I'm sorry. Rax said, hello, welcome. That's a next level troll move. I hope you're doing well, Ryan. I hope life is treating you okay. Thank you, Rex. They need to be done. They're all gross and chipped, but I don't have any nail polish remover, so I kind of just wait till it all falls off and then I do it again. But yeah, everybody, I hope that you are all ready. We're gonna get started. We were doing the boss fight in Elden Ring. It's that big giant guy with the tiny stand legs, and and it's gonna be a good time. And the ray tracing is now enabled in Elden Ring, and I'm using a secondary PC, so we should be able to see the ray tracing. I'm really excited. Although, from what I just saw when I opened up the app just to make sure that it was working, it seems like Elden Ring might be oversaturated versus how Dead Island is. So I might have to tweak the colors once we get started, but I'm gonna get started in just a second. That's the one, Weewin. And yeah, I'm with Weewin on that one. I don't think love at first sight exists. I think Hollywood has kind of perpetuated that idea. But I do think that there can definitely be people that we are instantly attracted to. But take it from me, there are people that I thought that it was like love at first sight, and then I got to know them, and they were terrible people. They were terrible people. But the instant attraction is definitely a nice thing to have. It's a nice feeling. Enjoy it. Don't worry about love. Trust me, it's not worth worrying about it. Not because love is bad, but because like then you add an unneeded pressure into things. Just have fun. Moa, hello, nice to see you. Preston, how's it going, man? How is life? Oh, Ryan, I have spent so many hours listening to, like, I haven't listened to any Elden Ring lore because I'm still playing the game and I don't want anything spoiled just in case. But I've listened to so much Dark Souls lore, and I still have no idea. Because, like, I'll listen to lore and I'll read a bunch of stuff and then I'll make a video on it, and then every other comment will correct what I just said. So I still have no idea what's going on in the lore, but I love it because it's just so in-depth. And it's so well thought out. Like, I'm impressed with how well thought out it is because of how hidden it is. Like, I've played Dark Souls for so long without knowing any of the lore. And then you hear about it, and it's so in-depth. Like, you would think it would just be been like a passing thought. But no, it's so interconnected. I love it. Yeah, I'm definitely excited for the Elden Ring lore. I just haven't looked into it because when you're looking into the lore, they start, like, referencing other bosses and stuff. And I don't want anything spoiled. I want to be completely blind through the whole gameplay, and then once I get finished with the story, then I'll go back and listen to the lore, because then I'll find out about bosses I might have missed, or maybe a boss that I want to meet, or a secret character I want to meet, or whatever. But I definitely want to go through without knowing as much as possible. Yeah, that's kind of how I've taken it, Ryan, is that, you know, there a lot of the interpretations of the stories out there are exactly that. They're just interpretations. They're not written in stone that that's how it works. Because there have been some where I have said something and a bunch of people agreed with me, and then there's somebody that kind of came in with a different perspective on it. Or even like I've had a perspective and somebody came in and corrected me, then somebody else comes in and corrects them. Neither of them agreeing with me, but they're correcting each other. So it's really cool. I think it's really cool. Okay, I guess we'll get started with some Elden Ring. I'm really excited. So let's do this. I haven't played this in a while, so it's definitely gonna be a rusty time, but I'm okay with that. Okay, so Elden Ring looks okay. It's a little bit dark, and a little bit oversaturated, but not too much. So we should be okay. Okay. So for those who haven't been here the last few days, I'm using a 2 PC setup now, which I haven't ever done. I've always relied on a 1 PC setup. I personally prefer the 1 PC setup because it allows for it allows for more more of a clean setup. It's also less of a headache with having to like make sure that everything's plugged in right and you're using the right mouse and keyboard. Like right now I've got 2 keyboards on my desk.
Let's get raddin'.
Oh. Damn it, we win. Oh, damn it, we win. That was good. That was good, we win. Thank you, we win. This time I'm not innocent. Thank you, Ewan. I appreciate that. Future, nice to see you. That's how it's going, me being jump scared. So what I was saying, I've got 2 mice on my desk now. I've got 2 keyboards on my desk now. I've got 3 keyboards actually, because I use the Razer Tartarus for my gaming keyboard because it's got like a little wrist rest. It's also got a D-pad. So I have options on how I want to control things. So I've got 3 keyboards on my desk. But like when I use my Tartarus, I've got to like unplug it from each PC depending on what PC I'm going to use. Because like when I'm gaming personally, I'm using the PC that I stream from for right now because I have everything kind of split up. And then when I'm streaming, I'm using the streaming gaming PC. So I got to move the Tartarus around when I want to use that. There's all the cables that have to go from one PC to the other and make sure the audio is working okay. And sometimes there's weird glitches. So like the 2 PC setup is weird. But the reason I'm doing it is, one, I built that PC for Alana. She's not taking it now that she's leaving. So I'm going to use it because I built it. So why not? And instead of losing the money I invested on it, because if I sell it, I'm not going to get back what I paid, what I spent on it. So instead of losing that money, I'm just going to use it for my stream. So I'm using it basically like I use a console. Which the big benefit to that is I can have my graphics pretty much turned up to max and not have any concerns. The only downside right now is that PC, the hard drive seems to be kind of going. I don't know if it's the hard drive or the RAM. I think it's the hard drive. It's starting to kind of go. So sometimes games will crash or it'll delay awkwardly. So there's definitely some work to be done for the PC, but like I'm playing this right now completely maxed out. I'm running it at 1080p because I'm trying not to let it crash. But I've got like ray tracing turned on to max, every other setting turned out to max, and it's running perfectly smoothly. And I'm still streaming perfectly fine. So dual PC setup, big mess, big burden, but for now it seems like it's kind of worth it. Until they allow me to use 2 video cards. Sorry, I like chugged down coffee and I'm trying to like hiccup and burp at the same time. Until they allow us to use 2 separate video cards on one system and have them do 2 totally separate things, this is going to be the only solution I have. Because like if I could have one video card literally just for the stream and one video card literally just for gaming, that would be like the perfect setup for me. But the only way to do that I know of is like really expensive like enterprise level motherboards that are like $1,000 for the motherboard. So no, thank you. So I'll just stick with the 2 PC setup. I do need to quit for this month. We went. Don't put yourself out to scare me. Don't get yourself into trouble to scare me. But I do appreciate it. It's funny. It's true, Ryan. It's true. Ugh. Okay, here we go. You just can't help it. Can't help it. The genius of me screaming like a baby all the time. Hurry, hurry, I'm gonna get hit. Whoa. All right, here we go. So if you were here right before I started the video, I referenced this guy as the giant with the stand legs. If you're wondering what that means, if you ever watch Family Guy, American Dad, sorry, there's a very early on episode, like in like the 1st or 2nd season, maybe 3rd, but really early on anyway, where Stan and Roger, the alien, it turns out that they have like an ongoing count. They're keeping a tally of who saved whose life, and it turns out that Stan owes Roger his life, and then eventually Stan saves Roger. Damn it. And then Roger is convinced that the only way that Stan is going to let him continue to live in the house is if he saves Stan's life. So basically, a whole bunch of shenanigans happen like it does in the show. And Stan gets his legs cut off. And with Stan's legs cut off, Roger decides he's going to save him, and he gives him this special cream that he has that'll help him grow his legs back. And for like the conclusion of the episode, Stan has these little tiny baby legs because it doesn't grow them full grown, it just grows them as baby legs. So Stan's got these tiny little baby legs, and he's like this giant big bulky man with these tiny little baby legs, and he's running, and like it just looks hilarious. And that's what I picture when I see the horse guy is Stan with his baby legs, because he's a giant who's like, you know, ridiculously big compared to the tiny horse. I've been informed it is part of the lore, and it's definitely a much more interesting story than Stan's baby legs, but I just can't help but think of Stan and his baby legs. Can I blame it on ADHD? Yes. Blame it all on ADHD. It's always ADHD. Just get a bigger horse, my guy. It's true. It's true. Oh god, it's gonna hit me. Oh, it didn't. And like, he doesn't even have feet. So like, it's just so accurate to Stan's baby legs. Oops. I'm trying to do this. There we go. Hey, Merle, how you doing? Oh god. Ugh. Come back here. Ow. I'm helping you relax, Moa, even though my stream right now is like all violence and high tension. I'm okay with that. I find it still very I can hear it. I can't see it. Cyan Wraith, thank you for the sub. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I can't see how long it is though. Here we go. I'll look down here. 5 months. 5 months.
5 months, baby.
5 months, baby. 5 months. I appreciate that so much. So with King's Day and people getting a day off and stuff, what do people do? Like, what kind of celebration does everybody do? Okay, where are all the summons? Anyways, Moa, I still find it very flattering and shocking that people find my stream relaxing. Because, like, part of me thinks, like, I know that I talk too much because people are very, very quick to let me know, whoa, we're getting a lot of weird glitching. See what I mean when I talk about the hard drive maybe being an issue? Because, like, it just freezes. Damn it. It just freezes randomly and then catches right back up, but the audio doesn't stop, so I don't know what's going on. Anyway, I know I talk too much, so I know that bothers some people because people will come in and let me know that it bothers them. But I also think that, like, you know, most other streamers are doing funny things, they're doing creative things, and they oh, how can I explain it? Like, their stream is a show. Do you know what I mean? Like, the good streamers, I mean. I'm not talking about, like, the ones who have 0 concurrent viewers and you know, think that streaming is just playing a video game. I'm talking, like, the ones that treat this like a business. You know, that have achieved some kind of growth and success, I guess you could call it. I feel like they put on a show. Like, their stuff seems so well planned and so organized, even though I know a lot of them will argue and say that they're not organized at all and they just fly by the seat of their pants. But, like, they've got, like, proper ideas, and I don't. And, like, I'm not skilled. That's the other part of it is, you know, a lot of these streamers are also, like, really good at the games they play, or they're very creative in the way they play games. And, like, I'm literally just, like, stumbling through games and just talking garbage, yet people tell me that they find my stream relaxing and it's like fun for them, and like it's surprising to me. Oh god, aggro him, everybody, come on. Yeah, Moa, and that's what I try to do. Like that's really what I'm trying to spend my time with is, you know, talking to people and not just have it be about the game. But it's surprising that nobody else does that to me, I guess. Like, to me, it's surprising that nobody else does that. Like, I feel like that's kind of the whole reason for streaming is for the community and for the chatting. So it's surprising that people appreciate what I'm doing, because to me, it's like I'm doing what I think it should be. You know, it's kind of like, oh, dang it. It's kind of like a friend of mine, her name is Stina, or their name is Stina, and they were talking recently about how they had a neighbor go through some medical emergency, and they stayed and helped their neighbor. And the amount of people that were calling them a hero, and what they did was so you know, big of them, and all this stuff. And Stina just kept going on about how, like, I just did the bare minimum. Like, I didn't do anything special. Somebody was in trouble and I helped them, but I didn't even like help them in a way, you know, like Stina didn't perform first aid, didn't, you know, save their life actively. Instead, they just kind of sat with the person and promised to feed their dog. And so obviously that's a really extreme case, but like, it's kind of, you think of it as just like anybody would have done that. And so for me with streaming, it's very much like anybody would just talk to their viewers. So I don't understand what the big deal is, but you know, because I don't watch a whole bunch of streams. Streams aren't fully my type of entertainment. You know, I'll put them on and I kind of just leave them. But like, it's kind of rough for me to watch streams. Mainly because I either don't have enough time to get to know the community, so I'm out of the loop the whole time, or a lot of the times it's either games that I'm not interested in, or the complete polar opposite. It's a game that I want to play, so I don't want to watch the stream because I want to play it myself. I want to experience it and not have the stream kind of ruin it for me. Do you know what I mean? So I have a hard time watching streams. So I don't really know how much other streamers talk to their chat. So it's very weird for me, because to me it's kind of like that's kind of the whole point. So why wouldn't other people talk to chat? But everybody says that's kind of a big thing that stands out about my channel. And so I guess it's common that people don't talk to their chat, which is so weird for me. Okay. Hada, hello. Hold on a sec. I kind of saw your message, but I didn't fully read it because I'm trying not to die. Uh-oh, I messed up. Okay, whew. I do. I've actually been doing all the Soulsborne games the whole time I've been streaming. We were actually playing Dark Souls 1 before Elden Ring, because I didn't own Elden Ring, and then we went and bought it for me, and so then I was able to play this. But normally I was just playing Dark Souls. I was actually doing a one stat challenge. Basically, I only level up one stat. But yeah, for the last 4, maybe 5 years, I've been playing a Soulsborne game on the channel once a week without miss. Oh god, I'm gonna die. Okay, let's get back on the horse. We gotta call some... Whoa, wrong button. We gotta call some spirits to come help us. No, you're not crazy, Weewin. I turned up the saturation because I'm using HDR, and depending on the game, some games aren't coded properly to work with OBS with HDR, and it makes the colors look really pale and bad. Dead Island is a good instance. Dead Island, for some reason, their HDR makes it look like it's almost black and white on screen on OBS, but this game seems to be coded a lot better, so you can see the colors, but I can't tell until I'm actually live whether it looks okay or not. Because my top screen, the colors are really bad. Everything looks pale on my top screen no matter what I do. So I was waiting till I went live, and on the main menu it looked okay. But now that I'm actually in the game, yeah, it's really dark and it's really red, so I'll tweak it right after this fight. I just had my breakfast. Ouch! I fried a couple of eggs and just put it on some toast. Oh! Damn it. I put it on some toast with some ketchup, and it is delicious. I love fried eggs. Fried eggs. Oh no, we win. Are you sick, like, you know, maybe a cold or a flu, or are you sick, like, just burnout, stress type of sick? I gotta lower the chat. The chat is hard for me to see. Why can't I change the size? Oh, it's from the bottom. That's weird. Restream, fix that. Fix that, Restream. Okay, I asked about the King's Day thing, and I know you guys answered, and I didn't actually read it because my memory sucks. Specs, which Mario Maker level is it? Is it the desert themed one, or is it the sky level one? Lots of places where you can play games. Okay. A marking consists of selling anything they don't use. Oh, okay. Students and youth drink all day. Music. So it's like a full blown, like, it's like a party. That's cool. That's really cool. We have, here in Canada, we have Queen Victoria Day. You know, the Queen's been dead for a long ass time. And it's just like a day off work and we do fireworks and that's about it. It's not really a big deal. You know, like, not really a big deal as in the sense of like, we don't throw parties or anything. It's literally like a really, really tame version of the 4th of July for the Americans, where like we throw off some fireworks, maybe there'll be a barbecue, but like there's no wild music going. We're not like flying flags with the Queen's face or anything. It's like super, super tame. But like that's like the closest we get. That sounds really cool. It sounds like a really stressful time for people having to work during that, but it sounds really cool for everybody else. That's cool. That's cool. Oh man. Reading that though about people wanting to buy stuff that other people don't want to use, it just makes me think of flea markets. And I haven't been to a flea market in a very long time. I really need to go to a flea market again. Okay, so let's turn these down quite a bit to help the colors. I'm going to leave them up slightly just because it's still HDR, so it still might be slightly gray, but I'll leave them up just in case. Liquefied eel. It's true, Ryan. I'm not that British inspired. Although, when I played Visage, the amount, and I made a couple of videos on it when I was playing it, the amount of American comments I got that got so mad at me for saying Visage, or not saying Visage and saying Visage. And I don't think this is actually a British inspiration or British influence. That's the Latino accent. I have a hard time with certain words with the R's. But like here we say visage. We don't really say visage. It's just like we say foyer. We don't really say foyer. But like, most of the world realizes that Canada has French. Most of the world also realizes that Canada is part of the British monarchy or whatever. We're a commonwealth, I think is what the word is. I can't remember. Damn it. Almost instantly dead already. But a lot of people don't realize we have a lot of French influence in Canada. And so like pronunciations of certain words are slightly different for that reason. The amount of people that got mad at me for saying visage and the amount of people that would correct me, but correct me in like the most condescending way, like, oh, you're an idiot, it's pronounced visage, not visage. And it's like, for Americans, it's pronounced visage. But in Canada, like 75% of us say visage because we have French influence in the way we speak. But yeah, it just made me think of that because of the British influence with the breakfast. Exactly, Ryan. That's the point. Dark, hello, nice to see you. How are you? Gross, Merle. Did anybody puke? You know, I don't hold anything against people for drinking. But oh, that's just something that, like, when I see somebody is sloppy drunk, that's the first thought that comes into my mind, is that they're gonna pee themselves or they're gonna puke. And it's just an instant no for me. Oh, so gross. But yeah, I had to work, but it pays 200%. Nice, we win. Well, now the work that I'm doing, I don't get that kind of benefit. They don't give us time and a half for anything, really. But the healthcare field did have that a lot. They had a lot of like time and a half, a lot of time and a half or double time, depending on what you were working, which definitely had its benefits. But yeah, working at a bar on like a national party day, that would really suck. That would really suck, because like, people go to party and they have a really wild time, but when it's like an international, when it's a national party, it's almost like it's an excuse to be even more wild than normal. And that means people are just going to be sloppier and grosser than they usually are. Like, there are a few annoying people. Do people hit on you the whole night? Do people hit on you? My face is itchy. AJ, hello. You finally beat Elden Ring. Nice. Oh, hold on. No, I don't know how. I don't know how. Hold on. Is there a way to like... Hold on. Oh no, I can't do it anyway. All right, I guess we'll just like manually do it, maybe. Crap. I can't do it without... Oh man, okay, I guess I'll have to like do it this way. Okay. TikTok, you're gonna be out of luck, you're not gonna be able to see it, but everybody else will. It's up there. Okay, so what, have we died 4 times now? And let's be generous and say I died 10 times last time. So let's do 14 and guesstimate. And we'll guesstimate. So there. I'll try to remember to keep putting it up every time we play. Got on the 3rd try. Jeez, that's crazy. I've been trying a whole lot here. Hey, Gina, how you doing? Welcome. It's worse than the amount of day drinkers? Gross. Oh... Yeah, I hate those people that have 0 patience. That's probably... Oh, did I go back to the... I went back to the thing, didn't I? Oh, no, I didn't. Okay. That's one thing that I did like about working in healthcare is, like, the power was kind of in my hands. And so, like, if somebody was rude, I could just threaten to walk away and they wouldn't get the care, and then they would usually ease up. They would usually get really nice really quickly. You know, I'm not a huge guy, but I'm also not tiny, you know. I'm 5'11", 5'10" and a half-ish, and at the time I was weighing like 200 pounds. So I was a husky guy. So if I put my foot down and said I'm not going to help you, they would feel intimidated and not like I was going to beat them up, but like that I was serious, that I'm not going to help you if you're going to be a jerk to me. And I kind of had that power, but like once you start working in service, that all goes away. And like you just have to kind of deal with it, and it sucks. I hate that. That's kind of what I deal with now. Is the one guy likes to complain about the work that I do, but he'll complain and contradict himself in the complaints. You know what I mean? Like early on, he was complaining I wasn't doing one job often enough, and so I started doing it more often. And then recently, he complained that I was doing the job too often. So it's like, which one do you want then? Because I can't do halfway. It's either I do it too much or I do it too little, but you have to choose one. I hate that. I hate that so much. Yes, Ryan. In my heart. At least it throbs like my heart. Oh! AJ, this boss is so friggin' hard. Ouch! Damn it. Mo and I were just thinking it. Oh, man. No, yours truly. I don't want to play just one game. I don't like when streams are literally about just one game. One, it burns me out. Two, I'll never come back to Elden Ring if I do that. You know, I have ADHD. I'm really, really bad with being able to go back to a game after I've walked away from it for a while. Like, we were playing Resident Evil 2 before Dead Space, and if I go back now, I'm gonna have to restart Resident Evil 2 because I don't even remember what we were doing. I know the story because I've beaten it so many times, but I don't even remember what we were doing, so I'd have to go back and kind of just restart the game to kind of get myself back in. And even Dead Space now, I'm at a point where I've been away from Dead Space long enough that I don't remember what we were doing. And so I'd have to start again to kind of clue myself back in. So I didn't want to walk away from Elden Ring for too long, or else I knew I wouldn't know what was happening. And then I'd have a really hard time kind of getting back into it. And I didn't want to do that. I didn't want that to be the case. Get out of here, dude. Stop attacking me. Little guys, come and aggro him, come on! Don't just casually walk! I think I need to level up. I think that's the big problem, but I lost all my runes way early on this. Hi, Moa! Stay on torrent, just keep summoning? Okay, I guess we could do that. I guess. I was trying to not be as bad as I am at the game. You know what I mean? Like, I'm bad at the game, and so I didn't want to give people the satisfaction and say, well, you just took the easy way. I wanted to say, I fought, and I earned this win. You know what? I'll earn it with one hit. I'll earn it with one hit. No. Oh. I earned it by getting hit once. Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, that's what happens. That's what happens. Yeah, AJ, the beginning, having to avoid the bow over and over again is frustrating. Oh, yeah, 16. Damn it. I'm not used to it. I'm not used to it. What game was it that we used to do a counter on? Was it? I know I used to do timers for my speed runs. That was one that I did timers for, but there was one that I did a counter for, but I can't remember what the counter was for. Maybe it was Mario Maker, how many times I died in a level or something. I don't know. I can't remember anymore. But I'm out of practice, so I haven't done it, but it's definitely nice to keep track of how many times I've died. Now, obviously, I have died far more than 14 times throughout our run. But it's... At least starting from now, we can kind of have an idea of how bad I am at this. Ouch. Dude, you almost got me hit. Ouch! All right, let's do it the easy way. I don't, yours truly. I don't play WoW. We were actually having a conversation yesterday about MMOs. I don't play WoW. I never have. I guess it was when WoW was really, really big. I was in high school. This was a while ago. One of my friends, I had a bunch of friends, and they were really big into like the pirating and hacking scene. I never participated ever, not even once. Don't sue me, anybody. And one of my friends figured out a way to kind of make a private server so you could play WoW for free. And then he gave me a disc and how to do it. And I had done it, but this was way back, like back before I ever really got into any kind of MMO type game or any kind of RPG that's styled that way. You know, like even Diablo or Divinity, you know, anything like that. So I installed WoW, and I had no idea what I was getting into. I just knew that my friends played it for hours and hours and hours on end. And so I wanted to play with them. And so I did it, and I didn't like it because I just didn't understand it. It wasn't that I had a bad opinion of the game for a good reason. It was just I didn't understand how it worked. So I was like, this is stupid. So I didn't play it. That was the closest I ever came to it. And a couple of days ago, we were having a conversation about how my life is going to change soon. Like my private life, in a very, very dramatic way. And I'm going to have a lot of time on my hands. And so Steffi was here yesterday, and I was saying about how, like, come summertime, I'm going to have way too much time on my hands. And I'm actually looking at getting into playing Final Fantasy 14, which obviously is not WoW, but it is like the biggest competitor to WoW right now. That is something I definitely want to play. Steffi is trouble. Anybody who hangs out with Steffi, you're gonna get bad influenced into being extra sexy because now you're no longer available. I don't have any spells at all. I don't think I've leveled up in any way to be able to use spells at all, AJ. Ow! Yeah, yours truly. You're not the first that I've heard say that. My friend Preston plays WoW. I like I said, I've never gotten into it, and not that I have anything against it. I've just never gotten into it. And I am a big Final Fantasy fan, so that's the only reason I'm more drawn towards that over WoW as like a game in general. But I also have a bunch of online friends that play Final Fantasy, so that's also another big draw. Whereas like with WoW, I've got like 2 friends that play it, and one, I don't think she plays it actively as often as she used to. But yeah, I've heard it's like insanely addictive, which might be a bad thing for me because, you know, going from like a house full of people to living by myself and having a lot of time on my hands, there's a really high chance that I would fall into the South Park level of addiction for the game, and I don't want to do that either. But I would be open to trying WoW, but right now I think Final Fantasy is kind of where I want to go, just because I'm such a big Final Fantasy fan. I love Final Fantasy. Yeah, yours truly. And I know that there's a lot of like in-depth mechanics that can get really complex with that game. And I am very much, when it comes to RPGs like that, I am very much a button masher. You know, just keep pushing all the attacks. As long as they're reloading, press the next ones until it's reloaded, then start attacking again. Which has zero strategy to it, which obviously is not a good way to play those games, but it's kind of just the way that I play. But like, I've been playing Divinity Original Sin 2. I know it's an older game, but I've been playing that a lot on my tablet. And I have tried starting that game multiple times, and I've never gotten past the tutorial chapter. And I finally got past the tutorial chapter yesterday. Because the day before yesterday, I was at the end. I beat the boss, but I didn't actually like complete the tutorial. Yesterday, I beat the tutorial. But I put in about 15 hours just in the tutorial section just to get the hang of how to play the game. And even then, I'm still getting my butt kicked. Like, I'm really bad at strategizing in those games. But I hear WoW is out of this world fun and addictive. I think one of the big reasons that I'm hesitant on those games, like I played a lot of Guild Wars. I played Guild Wars quite a bit, but I only ever played with my brother or with Alana. Now I don't really have anybody to play with, and so I haven't played it. But one of the big things is I struggle a lot with socializing, and so I get very anxious thinking about talking to strangers on the internet, because what if they ask me to meet them at a house, and then it turns out that like they're actually a 50-year-old man who wants to buy me pizza. But for those who don't know what I'm referencing like Chris Hansen and holy crap, Chris Hansen and his To Catch a Predator thing. But yeah, I panic a lot about socializing, and so instantly I stay away from any other players, and then that makes the game a lot less fun. You know what I mean? All right, see you later, yours truly. Have a good day. Have fun. Have fun playing. You got too used to it. Yeah, I find that a lot of people, once they get into one MMO, they kind of only ever play that one MMO, and they have a really hard time getting into a different one. Like the two that I've played has been Elder Scrolls Online and Guild Wars. Those were the two that I've played, and they were similar enough, but they were definitely quite different. I didn't spend enough time on either to really like fall into it, so I would have a hard time anywhere else. Because each one I've probably spent less than 20 hours on, so not enough for me to like get really in depth into the game. Yeah, Ryan, I think the same will kind of happen to me. Is, you know, I'll be kind of apprehensive at first. I'll kind of struggle at the beginning, and I'm sure that I'm gonna not really see the fun in it fully. You know what I mean? Like, I know I'm gonna have fun, but it's gonna be one of those like, yeah, it's fun, but like, I don't get why it's addictive, and I'll have to kind of push past that. Once I'm pushed past that, then I'll start having that really like deep fun. That's kind of where I am with Divinity. Crap. Where like Divinity, at first I was like, yeah, it's a pretty enough game, and the story seems like it might be interesting, and everybody says it is the best RPG to come out in the last like 20 years. So I'm like, it's gotta be good. I don't see it being the best. Like, I don't get it. Now that I've pushed through that hurdle of like kind of being like, okay, yeah, it's good, but not great, I've gotten to the point where I'm like, yeah, I just want to keep playing that game. Like, I'm getting to the point where I am wiping my battery twice a day from how much I'm playing the game. No worries, Nikki, you lurk away. I don't see any more summons. Sushi, how you doing? I've been told that originally this was way harder, and the nerf has made it like insanely easier. There's a road to follow instead of just do whatever quests you can find. Yeah, I think that's kind of where I've struggled the most. Holy crap. When it comes to MMORPGs, is finding what to do, because I play by myself most of the time, right? So having those random quests that don't really add to like a main quest, it loses its interest really quickly. And so I've definitely struggled with that a lot. I think if I had friends to play with, then it would be a little bit different. But I didn't even really know about Lord of the Rings Online until you told me. I can write a college thesis on the subject, but it would probably be better for me. Yes, Ryan. I think life is getting to a point where it'll be a lot more feasible for me to do. Because, like, you know, I started streaming, and almost immediately as I started streaming, my relationship with Alana started. And so my life has always kind of been like busy, and so doing something like playing online with people has always been something I've wanted to do, but I haven't been able to do just because schedule didn't allow it. And I'm not saying that like Atlanta didn't allow me. It's the, you know, I had to work. I was streaming. I had to make family time, and then I wanted to just rest. So sitting at a computer to play video games wasn't exactly on the priority list. And now I'm gonna have like an insane amount of time, so I'll be able to do stuff like that. Like I'm hoping to get back into acting, and I'm hoping to do more content, but I'm still gonna have a lot of time where I'm gonna do nothing, because even with acting, I'm gonna spend loads of time auditioning, maybe taking lessons, but not a lot of time actually performing. So I'm gonna have lots and lots of time to kill, so it'll be more feasible for me to do. I also have a bit of a better schedule, because before, when you guys invited me, I was working, you know, during the day, and in the evening all I wanted to do was sleep. Now, on the other hand, I work night shift, so I have a lot of nights where I'm up, you know. Are you kidding me? I have a lot of nights where I'm up in the evenings, or I'm up at nighttime, and so it'll be easier for me to do, whereas before, I was up during the day, and during the nighttime, in the evenings, I was in bed or streaming. And so I didn't have the opportunity to play with people because my schedule didn't match up. The times that I was free, everybody was at work. And so it didn't work out for anybody. But now I'm hoping we'll have a better time doing it. And so I'm hopeful for it. I'm hopeful for it. I'm hoping that I'm going to get into it the way that you guys have, because it seems like you've infected everybody. It seems like every few months I see a new face that's hanging out with you and playing with you. So it's pretty cool. I definitely want to. Did I hear that we were abducting you? Maybe, Steffi, maybe. Yeah, we were doing okay. We were doing okay, and then we died. And I was doing it the easy way, and I still sucked. I don't even know what to do anymore. That's okay. Earn that kill. That was the closest we've come, but that took a really long time to get to that point. Yeah, I feel like I'll enjoy it. Oh, crap. I feel like I'll really get into it, and it'll be a really fun time. You know, I miss playing with people. I'm not big with like playing with viewers and stuff like that, right? Like, because, and I'm saying that not because I'm thinking of like playing with you guys as playing with viewers. I mean, because I get people that when I talk about co-op stuff, they're like, well, why don't you play with viewers? I'm not big on playing with viewers and stuff, but I like playing co-op, and I've always played with my brother. But now that he's running the business, he's really busy, so we don't really get a chance to play together. And then, you know, I used to play with Alana, and her and I don't play together anymore. And so, like, I play by myself, and there are games I definitely like playing by myself, you know, that I really want to just get, like, deep dive into it and just spend mindless hours playing. But there are a lot of games that I want to play with other people. Right? Like Dead Island, I'm loving. My brother says he wants to get it. I can't wait till he gets it so I can play with him. Elden Ring, I wish I could play with my brother. You know, there are a variety of games that I want to play with other people, and I don't really have anybody to play with. So I am excited to have something to play with other people. There was a couple of weeks there where I played Sea of Thieves with Alana, Girl Thulu, and one of her friends. Tank, and it was really fun when all four of us were playing, but our schedules didn't match at the time. Again, I was working during the day, and so like I played a couple of times, but almost always gameplay time was like around midnight, 1 in the morning, and I was getting up for work at 4, so like it didn't work out for me to be able to play with them. And then eventually everybody lost interest in the game, and now I'm working night shift and there was nobody to play with, so like that kind of fell off. But I had a lot of fun playing with other people, so I'm excited for that. I'm hoping that we can do that. Preston, we're talking about Final Fantasy 14. Oh my god. Oh, I'm still alive. Not anymore. Not anymore. Yep. You did. I don't know, Preston. I haven't really looked into the game. About a year ago, I had talked to Steffi and Ryan about playing, and I downloaded it because it was during the time that it went like free to play. But then the free to play was like, oh, you can't like add friends, you can't like join your friends, they have to join you. And so I tried for a couple of hours on my own, and I was just kind of like, I don't understand what's happening. It's so deep, and I have zero clue. Oh my god, I'm starting to get frustrated now. And so like I have no idea what's happening, and I'm by myself, and I can't even like join my friends, and my schedule doesn't work to join them right now. So like I don't know what to do, and so I just kind of stopped. So I don't really know anything about Final Fantasy, so I'm going to be going completely blind. No idea what class I'm going to be doing, no idea like what even race my character is going to be, anything, nothing. I'm still alive, not anymore. Yeah, having a different server, like all of it was just a mess. So hopefully once everything is settled and I have a bit more of a oh god, he's gonna kill me. He's gonna kill me. Whew. Ah! Guys, come friggin' aggro him, like jeez Louise. Hopefully then I'll be able to kind of settle into it and start playing. I'm excited for it though. But somebody else, Preston, was just in here asking, the reason the conversation started, somebody came in here and asked if I play WoW. And so I was talking about that, because right now they said they're going to go smoke a blunt and just like play WoW for the rest of the day. Yeah, it definitely is. Once everything gets settled and like there's time, I'll pick your brain so I can make sure I get everything set up properly, and then jump in. And you know, I got to make sure my budget's okay, because it is going to be a really big change budget-wise for me. Because I'm going to be taking a pay cut and my rent is going to go up, so like it's going to be a bit of a mess for me. But once everything is settled down and I'm more stable, just stable in knowing like what my income is and what my output is going to be, then I'm definitely going to be paying for the membership and get myself in. Because the big thing that I'm kind of that's up in the air right now is just how much I'm going to be making while streaming. Because right now I'm not streaming very often, so there's not really a lot of money coming through. Weewin does a couple of scares, and I'll get like the occasional sub here and there. But you know, I used to sit at like 30 to 50 subs on a regular basis. And now it's at like 10 to 15. And so like there's not a lot of money coming through streaming right now. And even the jump scares are maybe a couple times a month. So it's not it's not a good representation of what it'll be like once I am streaming for 4 or 5 hours and I'm doing more viewer incentive things. Right now I'm doing the bare minimum. I'm not putting effort in to actually get money on here. Once I have the time, I'm going to be putting more effort in, and then we'll see. And then hopefully that money will kind of offset a little bit of my pay cut. Because my goal would be to have the stream at least pay for my internet and potentially pay for any like membership I have to pay for, so something like Final Fantasy or whatever, and then I should be fine. But like that's the only part that's really up in the air. I know how much money I'm going to be bringing in. I'm pretty sure I know what my rent is going to be like. It's just more about actually doing it, because writing it on paper is one thing, but like physically doing it is going to be very different. Yeah, I'll probably start off on the free one just to make sure that I'm you know, started and get my interest into it, so then it's more worthwhile. But I'm sure I'm gonna like it. Yeah, I hear that, Preston. I hear that WoW can be... I mean, you have a lot of players in WoW that have been there forever, right? They've been there forever. And so they have their kind of way of playing, and it's almost like it's accelerated because it's online, but like it's almost like It's almost like they're boomers. They're kind of stuck in their ways. And the young folks, they be playing differently than what I like. Back in my day, WoW only had 8 buttons. Like that kind of thing. And so they can be a lot more toxic. And then obviously the newer players will be toxic to the older players because they have a more advanced way of playing or whatever. But I've heard that WoW can be pretty toxic at times, but that it could also be incredibly community driven and very supportive. So like, I'm excited for that. Hey, what am I seeing? Arnleg, hello, welcome. 3 months. Thank you for that sub. I appreciate that.
Hi, Louis. Hope you're keeping well, bud.
I am keeping well. Yeah, Sushi, it's that money, man. Money makes life, better. Whoever said that money can't buy you happiness was clearly not a poor person, because money itself doesn't buy you happiness, but not having to stress about where you're going to pay your next bill from allows you to find that happiness, right? Being able to like, I'm dead. I'm so dead. Being able to like know that my bills are going to be paid and not worry about where I'm going to buy groceries from or like what bill I'm not going to pay this month allows me to like find that happiness. So money in turn does buy you happiness in that aspect. And like, I'm so dead. So frustrating. And so like when it comes to streaming, there's this like misconception that a lot of new streamers have where they think that, okay, it's not just new streamers, like there's a lot of people that have this conception that if a streamer's trying to make money doing this, they're greedy and that they only care about the money. And that's not the case. I have a good job. If I don't stream, I have enough money to live. The streaming is more of an outlet for me, but making money doing it allows me to continue doing it at a better level. It also allows me to invest into the stream, you know, to buy better equipment. Like right now, I discovered that it seems like it's not my monitor that's dying. It's either the cable or I think it's the input on the monitor, but the monitor is plugged in through HDMI right now, and it's working fine. So I don't necessarily need to buy a monitor, but the next thing I want to buy, which isn't a necessity, but it would be really nice to have, is a better capture card. I would like to buy a capture card that does 4K pass-through. I don't plan to stream in 4K, but I would like to be able to pass my 4K straight through it and be able to have HDR and everything pass through it, so that way I can stream a little bit easier without any major hiccups. That would kind of be the next big step I'd like to take. But outside of that, like, it's like I said, paying for memberships, paying for the internet. When things start to die, I can replace them. Like I said, the gaming PC that I'm using, the hard drive is starting to go, so it's like I need to buy a hard drive. And yeah, they're only like 30-40 bucks, but it's 30-40 bucks that digs into my budget, which I don't have right now. I also think that a lot of new streamers think that streaming is all about money and forget that there's a whole lot more to it. Like there's community building, there's just the satisfaction of entertaining people. And so when I talk about money, some people assume that that's why I'm talking about it, because I want the money. And the truth is I just need that extra little bit of stability, right? So Arnleg, right now, yeah, money buys time. Exactly, money buys time, and money buys just like I don't know what word to use, but like space, if that makes sense. I think of stress levels almost like a fuel tank, that once the stress level reaches the top, it starts to overflow and get into other things. And so money allows that fuel tank to kind of empty out a little bit, so you can take on more stress in other ways. Because when you're stressed out, you can't, even if you're doing something you enjoy, you can't fully enjoy it. It's kind of where I am right now. Like I am actively in the midst of a burnout. I'm in a pretty deep burnout right now. Like all I want to do is sleep and sit with my noise canceling headphones on in complete silence and just lock myself away for a few days. And I can't. And so I'm in the midst of a burnout. And if I had more money, the burnout wouldn't be as severe because I would know my bills are paid. I'd have somewhere to live, no problem. I'd be able to afford everything that I need to survive. And so all the other stresses wouldn't be having such a big impact because money wouldn't be a concern. Whereas right now, it's like money is a fairly big concern for me. And so everything else just kind of adds to that extra stress. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, freedom of choice. Yeah, that's it. Freedom of choice. Exactly. Yeah, Preston. There's quite a bit of extra expenditure that I've put into my stream that is completely unnecessary. Like, in all honesty, I'd say 75% of my setup is completely not needed, an admitted waste of money, and overkill for a stream. The only reason I did it was, you've known me for years. I've always loved photography, so my love of photography has always kind of made me have interest in cameras. I've owned cameras since I was probably about 13, and always buying new cameras and new toys and stuff. And because of streaming, I almost like helped justify it to myself that, hey, I can buy these cameras because I use it for my stream. But yeah, completely overkill. Even the microphone I'm using, overkill. That you could buy a really cheap. I have a really cheap microphone, which I don't know where I put. That would be perfectly fine for the stream. Go XLR not needed. A bunch of stuff isn't needed, but I just like toys. I like toys. Yeah, burnouts really suck. Burnouts really, really suck. But yeah, well, wait, I was saying something and now I don't remember what I was saying. Oh, what CPU and GPU am I using? So both my computers, I'm doing a dual PC setup right now. Both my computers are running 3070s. And the PC that I'm streaming from right now, which eventually I'm going to switch them around. I haven't because I have to move hardware around and I'm too lazy to do that right now. Burnout makes me not want to take apart a million things. But the streaming CPU is a Ryzen 7 3700X, I think is the one that I have in there. I think it's a 3700X. And the gaming one that's playing right now is an i5, but I think it's a 3rd gen i5. It's a really old one. I can't remember the exact timeline. I want to say... Oh, no. It's not an i5. Never mind. I'm wrong. I forgot. No, it's a Ryzen 5. I think it's a 2500. I think that's what it is. I can't remember for sure. Basically, I had bought this setup, the gaming one, to use for streaming, and then the computer kept crashing. And so I slowly changed a bunch of stuff. And in the process, there was a deal where, like, if I bought the motherboard that I have on my main PC, I would get the CPU for $200 off. So the CPU was going to cost me, like, pretty close to $100. So I went and got the CPU and motherboard. And then it was still crashing, and then I found out it was the hard drive after all that. And so because the original motherboard and CPU were fine, I built a LANA computer using it. But yeah, so one is using a Ryzen 5, the other one's using a Ryzen 7, and both of them are using 3700s. A 3070. Both of them are using a 3070. So decent computers overall, but the gaming PC is definitely struggling a little bit. I think it is the hard drive. I'm not 100% sure, because I really don't think it's the GPU, because the GPU is somewhat new. I bought them both on the same week. Crap. And the motherboard and CPU on the gaming one, I think, are maybe 2 years old. And they weren't really abused. Like, I used it for about 7 or 8 months when I was streaming. And then when I built it for Alana, I think she probably used it in total for maybe 30 hours. And the rest of the time, it just sat off. She would turn it on occasionally, like print stuff, but to like actually game on it, very, very minimal. So it's got very minimal wear and tear. So I'm pretty sure it's the hard drive that's starting to go, but I don't know. Nice, we win. That's a huge leap forward. That's a huge leap forward. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a 3700 or maybe it's a 2700. I can't remember. Hold on. Can I see it through here? So on my main, yeah, 3700X. On my main, now it could be that in Europe the 3700X doesn't exist, because I know that sometimes there are slight differences and they'll label them differently depending on where in the world it's released. But my streaming PC, so this is the one that literally is only processing the stream and sending it out. I've got a Ryzen 7 3700X. It's an 8-core processor. I've got 32 gigs of RAM. And they're only running at 3000 hertz, I think is what it is. No, it's 2400 hertz because I've got mixed RAM in there. Originally, I was running 16 gigs at 3000 megahertz. But I opted to get the mixed RAM at a slower speed. I know that Ryzen works better with faster speeds, but with like VR and stuff, higher RAM can kind of help a little bit with processing and stuff. And so I opted out for the bigger RAM space versus the faster RAM, because at 3000 megahertz, it's still not that fast anyway. Plus when I'm streaming, and I was streaming to 2 different places plus gaming, the more RAM I had, the more headspace I had to do everything. And then the second PC, can I actually check it while when I'm actually mid-game? I don't know. Let's see. Open this. What are you looking at right now, Arnleg, for your build? What kind of build are you considering? Okay. How do I hate that I don't, because this used to be Alana's computer, I'm not used to how things are set up, and I can't remember how to set up certain things. Can I do it this way? No. Is it under settings, maybe? I have no idea. System. Here we go. Is it in here? About. Here we go. So Alana's is an AMD Ryzen 5 2600. It's a 6-core processor. It's got 16 gigs of RAM. I can't remember the speed on this one, but it's a 2600. So it's a somewhat old CPU, but it's still a Ryzen 5. It's a 6-core processor. It's no slouch. It's still a decent CPU. And for strict gaming, it's more than enough. The reason I got the Ryzen 7 over a Ryzen 5 again, because I usually would stick with an i5, Ryzen 5, all that. And the reason I moved to a Ryzen 7 instead, what the heck happened? My window is like weird. It's overexpanded and I don't know why. I can't see. I can see it up there. Okay, there we go. The reason I moved to a Ryzen 5 over a Ryzen 7, it looks like I'm dropping frames on the ups. It still looks okay. Over a Ryzen 5, I went with the Ryzen 7 is because originally when I built this PC, I was editing on it. And so my idea was to have the Ryzen 7 to have more CPU space to be able to, hey Ghost, how you doing? Welcome. How are things? To be able to edit a little bit smoother. Obviously editing uses a lot of GPU power, but in the encoding and stuff, better CPU tends to help. You know, you need a fairly powerful PC to be able to edit well, and I was having a lot of problems with editing, and so I went for a Ryzen 7 to have a little bit of that headspace. Now I don't edit on my PC at all. I only use my MacBook Air, which is a much more budget system versus my big CPU. It's also objectively a weaker laptop than my big CPU is, but it's so much more optimized that I don't have any of the problems I had with my more powerful system editing on my Mac. The only problem I have is not enough space on my hard drive. Yeah, so like if you're looking for like a half decent GPU, it depends on how half decent you want to go. I know the 1660 is like a mid-tier GPU, and which I'm talking NVIDIA, obviously. The 1660 is a mid-tier GPU, but it still does quite a bit. It won't get you ray tracing, but it'll do like 1080p gaming pretty easily. Now, if you're looking for something a little bit higher, 20 series I think are almost impossible to find now unless you're going used. 30 series are still out on the market, and comparison to the 40 series, the pricing is definitely better. A lot of the reviews out there that I've read is that the 40 series is indeed more powerful than 30 series, but the dollar per frame isn't worth it because the boost in power is not equal to the boost in price. And so it's almost better to go for a 30 series card. Like this is the 3070. And right now I am running easily 60 frames a second on this game. And my settings are completely maxed out. I am using 1080p, mainly because there seems to be a weird glitch in the way that I'm streaming. The way that I have my stream set up is I am sending my signal from my gaming PC to a capture card into my streaming PC. The capture card only does 1080p, but in order to be able to see HDR fully on my gaming PC, I have to extend my displays. I can't just duplicate them, because if you duplicate, it won't let you do HDR. But in extending the screen, I have to either have my gameplay on my monitor or my gameplay on my capture card. Putting it on the capture card obviously then defeats the purpose of the HDR. So what I've done is I've actually installed OBS on my gaming PC. I have OBS running, and I'm doing a game capture on OBS and making it full screen, and then having my streaming PC capturing the full screen OBS. And that way I still have the full quality stream, or the full quality game going on my secondary screen. It's really complicated, but I think that is causing a bit of a stutter in the way that it's running smooth-wise. So you may not see it running at full 60 frames a second, but like I'm maxed out 60 frames a second without any problems. I would even say that I could probably get between 40 and 50 frames a second at the full 1440p maxed out with ray tracing on this game. The only reason I haven't done it is just because I'm running OBS. I'm trying to make it a little bit easier for the computer to do everything that it's doing. But like the 3070 is insane for the money that you spend on it. Like I haven't had anything really beat this up unless you're trying to play with like maximum ray tracing with AA turned all the way up at 4K. Nothing's really gonna beat this GPU up to an unreasonable level. Obviously, if you're trying to get like, 144 hertz at 4K, then yeah, this GPU isn't going to do it for you. But for like 60 frames a second at 1440p or 60 frames at 1080p, you're more than fine with this card. But price-wise, I think it's a decent purchase. Like I do VR on that card without any issues, and I max out pretty much everything in my VR. Yeah, Arn, like CPUs are starting to get so complicated and so hard to kind of know where to go. Like, Intel is still kind of the go-to for most people, especially for gaming. Intel tends to do really, really well. What I'm finding though, and the reason I've gone with Ryzen overall, is for the price, the performance is really good on the CPUs you can get from AMD versus what you would get on Intel. Because like on Intel, if you spend $300 on a CPU, you're going to get a good CPU, but for $300 you can get a CPU from AMD that has a few other features that the Intel one won't. Like more cores or whatever, or it'll run at like a lower heat dissipation level or whatever. But when it comes to raw power, if you compare the same level CPU, the Intel almost always outdoes the AMD. But AMD's done really well, especially for productivity stuff. Like I said, I've always used Intel. I only recently moved into AMD with the first build that I did, and now this one. But I always did Intel. But AMD has really come a long way. It's just hard to know exactly what to do. And depending on how hard you're going to be pushing it with your audio production, you don't always have to go all the way, right? Like, most of the time, unless you're doing it as a professional job at like an industry level quality, you're pretty much fine with like the 5 level, Ryzen 5, Intel 5, i5. You're usually okay there. Yeah, Arn, like, if you want something that's not mobile you're going to throw away after a year, yeah, 250 is kind of where you're sitting. It kind of sucks. Yeah, I'm still with NVIDIA with my cards, mainly because it has the market share on support for, like, ray tracing and stuff. AMD's coming a long way. There's a lot more games that are starting to show AMD support, but a lot of games come with RTX. And although NVIDIA has a ray tracing feature, if it's not specifically made for NVIDIA, it's not going to perform, or AMD, it's not going to perform as well as NVIDIA's ray tracing is, right? Nostalgic, thank you so much for the control. I hope you're doing well. Heck yeah, that would be awesome. Preston, Rigo, guys night, play video games all night. Video games all night. We'll eat chips like giraffes. Oh man. But yeah, NVIDIA is kind of like the Apple of the graphics card game. They're very, very particular about how they want things done, and they're very problematic on how they treat their partners. But they get away with it because of just how much market share they have and just how good their graphics cards do perform. Like I said, this 3070, it's technically last gen. It is technically enthusiast tier, but it's not the best card out there. Not by a long shot. But it still will be fine for me for a couple years, no problem. I used my 2070 for a really long time, and it was still fine. The only reason I got the 3070 in the first place is I thought my 2070 was dead from the weird artifacting I was getting. I was getting a really weird thing with my VR. It kept disconnecting and reconnecting, and then like I'd get artifacts in my gaming, or the screen would turn off for no reason, and I couldn't get it to work, and it was doing a lot of stuff. So I thought it was the 2070 that was dead. I went and bought a 3070. It was still doing it. It turns out that it was the PCIe board that was dead, so I had to replace the whole motherboard. But at that point, I already had the 3070, so I was like, I'll just keep it. Yeah, see, and in that case, you're running a very, very demanding level of work. So yeah, I would definitely say cough up for a decent CPU at that point, because yeah, you're going to start getting that buffering coming in and the slight input lag, which can absolutely throw everything off. That was one of the problems that I had originally when I was performing live with my band. One of the things that's always bothered me as a musician is hearing artificial instruments. I really hate artificial instruments. Just a pet peeve of mine. It's not that I think that it's any worse than real instruments, or that I, judge anybody else for doing it. I just don't personally like them. And so when we were performing live, a lot of the stuff that we did was brass. And if you know anything about music, which obviously you do, artificial brass sounds horrible. It's really hard to get authentic sounding brass. And I found some really, really great artificial brass synth instruments on a PC, and I tried to do a PC setup, so I would plug my MIDI output from my keyboard into a laptop so I could have it send out the high quality brass instead of the built-in synth that I had. And it sounded amazing, but the input lag would throw everything off because I was playing in time, but the input lag would make it sound like I was playing out of time, and then the band would try to like sync with me, and I would sync with the band, and then I would again slow down, so it was delaying everything. It made it a real mess to play, and it was mainly because the CPU I was using sucked. Even though I was only running one channel with one instrument coming out of it, it was enough that the CPU was a nightmare to work with. Heck yeah, Preston. We need to have a night like that. That'd be a lot of fun. That'd be a lot of fun. Oh, I miss those nights, Preston. I think that's probably the biggest part that I miss about like Greece and stuff is those nights that we would spend together, going out to eat I need a pita, and then go to Dina's house and like just watch movies and talk and goof off. Not a care in the world. Ew, did you hear they're remaking Greece? That was what I was using. That's exactly what I was using. And the trumpet in particular. Saxophones have gotten pretty decent on keyboards. They're not perfect, but they're pretty decent. And if you manipulate the keys in a certain way, it can make it sound better. But just trumpets in particular sound, so bad. Trumpets always sound so bad. And the native instrument trumpets, oh my god. There was some real nice trumpet sounds coming out of the native instruments contact thing. And actually, my band was going to get back together to do a show. We didn't end up doing it because there was going to be some problems, so we didn't end up doing it. But we were planning to get together to do another gig, and that's literally what I did. I went and downloaded the Contact Native Instruments thing. I got the brass. I got it working because I was using my MacBook Air, which does a lot better with stuff like that. And it was going to work. It was going to be awesome. I even recorded some like pre-recorded sequences to kind of show everybody what it was going to sound like, and it sounded like real trumpets. It was so good. And then the gig fell through, so we couldn't do it. I was so mad just because I wanted to do that for the first time ever. But yeah, the Native Instruments one is so good. It's so good. Yeah, they're very, very static, and they're flawless. And the little flaws are what make, especially something like trumpets, there are those little tiny flaws, like the little squeaks that you might get out of like trilling, or like, you know, the little things like the drop at the end, like, you know, bam, that sound. It's too perfect in a sequenced MIDI sound on a keyboard, whereas like the native instruments, they include those because it's a genuine recording. So you hear the little flaws in the sound, and obviously you know more about this than me, but from what I understood is they have multiple variations of the same note. So when you hit the same note, it's not exactly the same every time, which allows that variance. And then I was doing something where I would have like 2 trumpets. Did it work? I was just talking and it worked. I wasn't even paying attention. It worked. I was... Oh my god!
GG.
Somebody waiting, sitting there. You said no more, we win. You lied to me. Thank you, we win. Whew, I wasn't even paying attention that time. I guess not paying attention makes me a better gamer. That's how bad I am. That when I try, I suck. Give me a second. Once this is done, I want to just finish my thought, and then I'm going to go back to what I was saying to Preston. Ark, how you doing? Hope you're doing okay. It's true, Ryan. It's true. That false sense of security, which then allowed the fear to be extra strong. Holy crap. So, my monitor only does 400 nits. If you know anything about monitors, HDR, 400 is like the bare minimum of brightness. Nits is how bright the screen gets. 400 is like the bare minimum for HDR to be considered real HDR. A lot of monitors say HDR, but all it can do is just process the HDR signal and convert it to an SDR signal and kind of try to make an analogy out of it. And it brightens, it usually boosts the saturation. That's really what they do. So 400 nits is kind of the minimum of actual HDR. And so this monitor is 400 nits, bare minimum. My TV is, I think, is 650 nits, I think is what my TV is. So it's brighter than my monitor. My iPhone 13 Pro Max does 1,000 nits. And so like that's that's the brightest that I have for HDR. But like on a tiny little phone like this, you don't get the full experience of HDR when it comes to like bright scenes like that. I can't even imagine watching on like a 50-inch screen, a 60-inch screen with like full 1000 nits of brightness and have a moment like that happen. That was bright. I can't even imagine 1000 nits. That would be amazing. Okay, that was the last one for today. So back to what I was saying, Arn, like, so my understanding is it's multiple recordings of the same notes, like 2 or 3 of them, to allow that variety. So what I had done in mine is that I allowed, because normally with something like Contact, to make it more realistic, another one of the reasons that trumpets sound so fake on most keyboards is trumpets are a mono instrument. I can't remember what the word is, mono something, but like you can only hit one note at a time. You can't really do multiple notes, and that's what makes it sound so good. So if you do like a mono style setup on a keyboard, it helps, but it's not perfect. And Contact does that. I removed that. I allowed it to be a poly sound so I could play multiple notes, because I was playing Latin music, and Latin music has multiple brass instruments. Like it'll be like 2 or 3 trumpets, and it'll be 2 or 3 saxophones. So I need to be able to play multiple at once. And so what helped is when I would hit 2 notes, most of the time it would be 2 separate like frequency variations, just slightly enough so it doesn't sound perfectly in sync, which allows that little flaw to make it sound more natural. And it sounded so good. Obviously, when I went mono, it was insanely accurate. There was actually one digital instrument that I used that allowed you to do mono, and that I could do 2 separate monos. And so it was really weird because I could actually hit 2 notes, and each note would count as an individual note. And then if I hit a 3rd note, it would erase one of the other notes. And most of the stuff that I played would be 2 notes, and like 2 notes at once. So it almost always worked out, because I would end up doing 2, and it didn't matter what order I pressed them in, one of the instruments would cover it. So I would still get 2 notes, but I would still get that mono little trill effect, you know, where it would switch between notes. Not trill, but like it would switch cleanly between the notes. There would be no overlap. And it made the trumpet sound so much better. The other one that's a hard instrument to get to sound realistic is guitars, and harmonica is another one that I really hate hearing the synth. But guitars to me stand out so much when it's artificial, because in the opposite spectrum, guitars can play multiple notes, but they don't play them all at the same time. The strum adds a delay between each note, and that little delay is what makes the guitar sound real, which ironically, GarageBand, sorry guys, I'm nerding out. GarageBand does a very authentic guitar because it plays the notes separately, versus on a keyboard where it plays them all at once and it sounds like a keyboard. I love that. I love that so much. There were a few times we used to play guitar in some of the songs that we played. I just didn't want to buy another one. I used to be the one that played it. There was a few times where I considered using my iPad on stage to fill in the guitar strumming for certain songs that had a guitar strum. It's so cool. It's so cool. Talk nerd into me, baby. Do it. AJ, yeah, we did it. We finally did it. Really? I didn't know that. See, I played trumpet, but I was never a professional player. I never took lessons. I did it all by myself. I didn't know that they could do that. That's cool. That's really cool. Yeah, and that's the reason I took up the trumpet, is it bothers me so much. Synth sounds bother me so much. Again, not for everything. It's just I play Latin music, and Latin music is very heavy on like orchestral instruments. So a lot of bands, because a lot of Latin music comes from third world countries, they don't have the money for those high-end instruments. So a lot of them will rely on one keyboardist to do it all. And it stands out so badly. Like, it's really obvious. So that's why the more famous bands, when they use real instruments, they just sound so much better. And it's not because the musicians themselves are any better. It's just because the authenticity of the sound. And so that's why I learned trumpet, because when I went and I got hired by one of my favorite bands as a kid, I got hired by them to go and be their keyboardist, and they had a real trumpet player. And just hearing that one trumpet fill in with the synth trumpets added the realism to it that helped disguise the other trumpets. Oh my god, that made me fall in love with it, and that's where I started learning trumpet. And then that's what we did. My brother learned saxophone, I learned trumpet, and then we had my brother-in-law do the keyboard, and he was still doing the synthesized trumpet and saxophone. But having us two play it live helped make the synthesized ones sound better. It was really cool. It was really, really cool. You love messing around. Yeah, it's very difficult. Very, very difficult. Now I can't really play it. I have Girl Thulu like wanted to smack me in the back of the head because I called it a trumpet, but it wasn't a trumpet. I had a cornet, which is like a smaller trumpet. I had a trumpet and it got stolen. Then I got a cornet, and I used that, and I would play it at a much in a much more brassy tone. I would add more brass to my embouchure to make it sound more like a trumpet and less like a cornet. And it got pretty close. But now my cornet, the whatever they're called, I can't remember right now. They've dried out, and I dropped it, and so one of the little buttons or whatever is slightly dented, so it sticks, and so I'd need to take it in to get completely fixed. But since I'm not playing anymore, it's not worth it for me. And Preston, yeah, they're redoing Silent Hill. Yeah, that was so much fun. And then we went out for that walk in the middle of the night. Oh man, such a long time ago. It's weird. It's weird because like we were kids, right? Like I was in my 20s. You were either 19 or 20, but you were like right there. But we were kids. We had no cares in the world. Every dream at our doorstep. And life was just a lot less complicated. And then things changed. Things changed for me in you know, everything that happened in my life. But just everything changed, and it kind of sucks. It's that bittersweet feeling at that point. But yeah, I miss those days. But yeah, they're redoing Grease, and it's so stupid. It's so stupid. And going back to the audio, the reason I'm bringing up the audio thing, so I hate synthesized instruments when they're trying to sound like the real instrument, but I also hate pitch correction. And I know there's like a really big debate amongst like audio engineers when it comes to pitch correction, where like the average Joe will say that everything is so auto-tuned, and then a lot of engineers will come in and be like, it's actual pitch correction and it's always happened forever, and it's not going to make you a good singer. Because I did all the sound tech stuff for my band, and I helped record the CD we had and everything. I actually did the recording and played all the instruments for it. But I am of the field of pitch correction does make a bad singer a good singer. You can't be absolutely terrible, but you can be mediocre and sound very good with pitch correction. And I hate pitch correction at where it is now. Back in the day, it's always been used, but it was used to fix like a slightly flat note that was kind of like way off and make it sound more within sync, but still be kind of off. Because again, the flaws are what makes it sound better, in my opinion. And Grease is so auto-tuned, so pitch corrected, it sounds robotic. It sounds horrendous. It has none of the soul. I'm just not a fan of what they're doing with Grease. I haven't watched the ad with my eyes. It just plays whenever like I'm in the shower or whatever, and I've heard it, and just the pitch correction is so gross. So gross.
What a sick way to fight, eh, mate? The glory of the clash is shared by Radahn and you, and then a falling star right before our eyes. I can't fathom how Radahn was holding back something of that scale. He was a living legend, if ever I saw one.
I don't understand the significance of what he just said. I don't understand. Oh well. I gotta level up before I leave, so let's talk to these people, and then I have to level up before I forget.
It was a battle marvelously fought. You are well and truly a champion, friend. I, on the other hand, am nothing but a crock. One hit was all it took to crack me, and for my insides to come spilling out. After that, I hid like a coward. And as such, I can hardly stand to face one such as you.
Is that the only two? Where are the other ones? Where's like the other 15 people I was calling? No, that's just a pile of stuff. You said there's a cave we win? So don't head back, maybe? Look for the cave? Okay. I can't believe we did the whole fight and I wasn't paying attention at all. I was too busy just wandering around. But yeah, Preston, those were some of my fondest memories. It was a lot of fun back then. I've had 2 days like that. That one day with you where we played Silent Hill. Funny enough, both of them were Silent Hill. That day with you when we played Silent Hill shattered memories. And then in high school, I had a very similar day with a friend named John. He pops in once in a while. He's in Vietnam right now. I don't know if he's actually living there or not, but he's been in Vietnam for the last little while. He got married. So he hasn't popped in as often, but he used to pop into the stream, and I went to high school with him. And same thing, he came to my house and we played Silent Hill 2 from start to end with him. And now once we finished, he left. We didn't have like a whole day afterwards. It was just in one day we sat and played the game. But those are like some of the best days where it's just hanging out with a friend and literally delving into a game and just enjoying the experience with somebody else. It was so cool. By the wall, okay. And yeah, that was a really, really fun day. That was a fun day. I miss doing shows with you. I miss, being on stage with you. If anybody's kind of wondering what I'm talking about, Preston is somebody that I've known for a really long time. We met actually through a community theater show, and Preston is a professional actor. I've gotten to enjoy watching him go from like this teenage kid with a lot of raw talent and zero professional training to being a full-blown professional actor with a lot of raw talent and a lot of skill that has been honed. And I've had the chance to share the stage with him, and he's one of the people that I've worked with that I admire the most, if that makes sense. Because just of how... Go back, I did it again? Absolutely, Preston. Oh, I can't wait till that game comes out. And he has achieved what he sets out to achieve, if that makes sense. Like, he doesn't just... He's not like me, where I'm like, I want to be an actor, I'm going to do this, this, and this, but then I never actually do the things I'm supposed to do to get to the goal that I want. He actually does it, whether it's hard or not, whether it's... I don't see anything. Yeah, the link thing. And I tried turning it off, and for some reason it doesn't work, and I don't know why. If you want, if it's on TikTok, tag me on it. I'll keep an eye out. I almost never see the tags, but tag me in it, like in a comment or whatever. And then I should see it. Oh, we will. Is it like hidden? Do I need to like hit something to get in? Because I see these things. Liar ahead, but like I don't see a cave. Like, do I have to hit something to get it, or a little more to the right? Okay. Little to the right. Okay, I'll take a look on, like, I'll take a look for sure, because that sounds really cool. Oh wait, I think I saw it. I think I saw it. Yeah, we beat the boss. I was too busy talking, and then the boss died, and I didn't even know. I didn't even realize it, because I was too busy talking. Oh, is it 20? Okay, no, it's 20. Okay, it's 20. Yeah, I did forget the 1 then. Damn it, I was so proud of myself that I hadn't forgotten, but I did forget the 1. Damn it. Okay, where the... I swear I saw it. Press up, up, down, down, left, right, BA start. There it is. Anyways, yeah, so Preston and I did a few shows together. And so a lot of my favorite memories are when we were sharing the stage, because Preston is really, really fun to work with on stage. With the risk of sounding like a stereotypical amateur actor, he's very generous on stage. If you've never done any theater with, period, but if you've never done it with like amateur actors, that's one of like the very common terms that a lot of amateurs use. You're very generous on stage. And what they're basically saying is like the person is willing to actually respond to what you're doing on stage. A lot of amateur actors tend to kind of build up their own idea of what the scene is in their head, and then they just kind of go with it whether or not it works. And somebody who is quote unquote generous on stage will respond to the way that you're saying your lines instead of just the line that you're saying. Plus all the muscles, all the sexy muscles. Preston works very hard on his physique. It's something that I've always wished I could do, but oh my god, I don't have the motivation. I don't have the motivation, and I don't have the self-discipline. I can't get up there. I swear it's right there. I thought I saw it. When I don't see it. I thought I did, but I guess not. I don't see anything. Like, it's the exact same spot over and over and over again. I don't see anything. Okay. Go to the water along the wall. Okay. It's just myself being an idiot. But I think that's what makes somebody much more receptive to what's going on, right? It's, oh my god, I wasn't close enough. I see it now. I see it now. Some of the shadows on the caves, on the wall looked like it was a cave. I thought it was like a cave. I wasn't looking for a door. I get it now. I get it now. But yeah, I think that's what makes you more receptive. It's kind of what's happened with me with my characters and stuff. I am far less concerned in... How can I explain it? Like, you'll know what I mean, but like, I'm less concerned in portraying a certain character than I am concerned in just responding with whatever gut response comes into my mind. So instead of like trying to like convince people, oh, I am a dumb character, I allow... Am I supposed to fight these guys? Am I not supposed to? Probably not. Ouch. That was a waste. So I'm much more willing to make a jackass of myself and not worry about whether it looks stupid or not. Instead, just kind of go with it. And I get a few comments in my videos, especially, where like, dude, aren't you embarrassed? Like, I'm cringing for you. The one video that reached 1 million views was literally me with my gut sticking out and peanut butter on my face. And every other comment was trying to make fun of me for it, but in a sense of like, dude, you're so embarrassing. Like, you're cringy. But in my mind, it was that's the point. Like, that's the point. I'm not worried about it being cringy. I'm okay with it being cringy. But in turn, that video got 1 million views because it was funny. Uh-oh. And because I stopped caring. This is the hardest dungeon. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Holy crap. 74,000 runes gone. 74,000 runes gone. No. Yeah, exactly, Preston. And that's exactly it. There was somebody that actually tried to counter that argument. I made that argument. So I have like a spam TikTok. And it's one where I will respond to more politically charged stuff. I don't really do that on this TikTok. For those who are on TikTok, I don't do it on my main TikTok because I want it to be about gaming. I don't really want to get fully into that kind of hateful rhetoric because I am going to get into it for a second here. Because people of a certain political affiliation despite being so anti-woke and anti-cancel culture, are the biggest crybabies and will attack people for having a different mindset than them. You know, and so when you do say something against their political stance, they'll come after you, and they will harass you relentlessly. And so I don't want to do it on this channel because I don't want my notifications to be filled with vitriol. So I have a secondary account that I don't use very often. I mostly keep it private. I'll pop out of privacy and make a response, leave it for a day or two, and then I'll go back into privacy because it starts getting attacked. And I just don't need that. Anyways, in that video, on that channel, I made a response where somebody had said something. They were putting me down or whatever, or they were putting somebody. They said something. I contradicted what they had to say, and then they came after my looks. And the big thing they went after is my nail polish, and basically doing the whole thing like, "Are you gay for wearing nail polish?" And it's like, dude, that is such a '90s diss. That makes me sound old, but you know what I mean. Because like mocking somebody for being gay, using that to mock somebody is almost like making fun of somebody by saying like, "What, do you have black hair?" Okay, like how's that offensive, right? And so that was kind of the response that I had back. And part of the response that I made was to say something along the lines, I'm going to switch now because if not, I'm going to die. Let's level up, and then I'll switch over, and then I got to get going. But basically in my response, I said something along the lines of like, you think that that's offensive because you're insecure about it. Like you would be offended if somebody said that to you. But that speaks more about the fact that you're insecure than it does about making fun of me for wearing nail polish. It was that kind of thing, right? And then somebody came in and they're like, "Oh, I hate that argument that, oh, you're only saying it because you're insecure. That's such a BS argument." Somebody else said that. It wasn't the guy that I was arguing with originally. Except that's literally what it is. Because if I'm going to offend you with something, I'm going to offend you with something that I think is offensive, right? Okay, leveled up. We are safe. Let's quit this so I don't get killed or anything. Yes. And so like in the plainest terms, if I don't think it's offensive, then it's not really something I would use to offend you, right? Like I don't think it's offensive to call somebody white, let's say, right? So I'm not going to be there and be like, "What are you, a white person?" Because like I wouldn't be offended if somebody called me white. I don't see that as an offensive thing, so I wouldn't use it to offend somebody. Now, that's not saying that by using that, I'm not going to offend anybody. I mean more like using it to offend somebody. I wouldn't use it as an offensive thing if I don't think it's offensive. So inherently by using it to offend somebody, then I think it's offensive. And so that was why I said that the person is clearly insecure because they're trying to offend me with something that would offend them. And the whole point was, you know, like I'm willing to wear nail polish because I like it, and I don't really care what other people think about it because I'm secure enough to wear it that I don't care, right? And so by them trying to put me down for wearing nail polish, the response is a very clear indication that they are too insecure to wear what they like because they're afraid somebody else will make fun of them. And they assume everybody thinks that way, so they're going to make fun of me for what I'm wearing because they think that that is going to put me down. And like it just indicates to me that you're so fragile that you worry about what people think about what you wear. And so it doesn't really work out the way they think it does. So when people say the whole they're putting you down because they're too insecure, I think it's a very, very valid perception and perspective to take. Because again, if they're putting you down about something, it's because they think that what you've achieved is a negative thing. And so that would put them down. And so there's very much that whole perspective of it. And now sometimes there are people that are out there literally just to shit disturb, just to, you know, bother people because their life is so insignificant that the only way they can get any attention is by putting other people down. It's like there's a few streamers on TikTok that will make streaming advice videos that are full of bad advice, and it's not because they actually think it's good advice, it's because they know that that vitriol is going to get them the attention that they can't achieve in any other way. And so it's a very, very accurate statement when you say somebody puts other people down because they feel down about themselves. But it's funny that that there are people that genuinely believe that that's just a cop-out answer, but it's like, no, it's like, that's what it is. Like, that's what it is. But it is what it is, you know? People are crazy. Yeah. Hello, Chadley. Context is definitely a big thing that people don't realize. I did my video talking about how Nintendo is attacking Point Crow and how it's a bad move. And a lot of people took it in the sense of well, Nintendo's protecting their IP and they're allowed to do that. And like, that's not what the problem is. It's not that people are saying that they're not allowed to do it and they're doing it. It's people's biggest problem with how Nintendo reacts to things like this is more like you're shooting your own fans down when they're showing their passion for your brand. And it's not that we think that fans should be allowed to pirate games and mod everything the way they want and sell the mods and whatever. It's not that. It's just that we would like to see Nintendo supporting their fans. So like, if there's a fan project, how many times, I'm pretty sure, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure this is what happened. Resident Evil 2 Remake was something that was in the works but hadn't really been started. And a fan was working on it using the Unreal Engine and had done a really good job doing it, reworking it from scratch, making his own version over the shoulder, all that. And apparently they got, if I remember correctly, again, I might be wrong, but from what I remember, the fan got a letter in the mail, cease and desist, and they got, interviewed by the lawyers from Capcom. But it was the lawyers interviewing them to say, hey, you can't do this anymore. But in the same speech, they said, hey, you want to come work for us? And then like a year later, the official Resident Evil 2 remake was out there getting ready to be released. And so like, this guy was hired on to work on a project that he was already doing in private for the professional company. And so like, instead of Nintendo doing stuff like that, they just threatened to sue everybody. And instead of helping these creators work with them by giving them free keys, by giving them offers to like, hey, do something fun with our product, they just take them down. So like, the big gripe people have is more, Nintendo doesn't know how social media works and they're punishing people instead of finding a way to help it work for them. So back to the context thing, this guy was, telling me that I was an idiot and that I was so negative and blah, blah, blah. In the video he responded to was me responding to somebody else. It was a follow-up video that I did where somebody was pretty rude in the way they responded to me and they were being pretty vulgar. And so I went and clarified that perspective. And then I ended it off with being like, you being ignorant about what's going on isn't an excuse to be rude, so do better. And this guy's response to me was, your self-entitlement was, well, he said something else, was palpable and like, you're disgusting and you don't see the irony and you telling him to do better when you're being this way. And so they didn't have any of the context that this person had never spoken to me before, had never, interacted with my channel in any way. And then they came and tried to tell me I was wrong on my perspective, which is fine. But their whole reason for me being wrong was all based on factually incorrect statements. And so, because he tried to say that YouTube was the one taking him down, it wasn't Nintendo, and that we're all stupid for blaming Nintendo. And it was like, no, it's not YouTube. YouTube doesn't get involved in copyright strikes and stuff. It's factually Nintendo, and nobody is denying that. And so that was what my response was about. Is like, he was being rude and being righteous, and yet he was wrong about what he was being rude about. So like, do better. Have a conversation instead of being rude. And the guy admitted he was being rude, and then he eased up with the way he was responding, but he still had a contradictory stance to me. But his points were much more valid when they were based more on opinion versus trying to say they were fact. And so this guy was saying I was being pompous. I go to his page and his title is, I'm going to go after people that I don't like their videos or something. And so I went and I was like, dude, like, for somebody whose whole page is about being pompous towards other people, it's kind of ironic that you're saying that to me. But the whole point of my video was to respond to somebody being rude. And then he came back and basically said that I'm clearly ignorant and I have no idea what I'm talking about, and it's very evident. And then so I got angry, and I wrote him a really big thing. It was all on Instagram. So I wrote him a big response, basically pointing out the reasons as to why what Nintendo was doing was a problem, why the guy's original comment was wrong, and why, you know, despite it being within Nintendo's right, it still hasn't fully been proven in court yet. So it's kind of up in the air, really, what we can do as far as what it goes with streaming and stuff, because nobody really knows what the copyright law is when it comes to fair use and streaming, and video content on like YouTube and stuff. And the big point is nobody's gone to court because the companies that are fighting it are multi-billion-dollar companies, and any streamer, no matter how successful, at most has a few $1 million to their name. Nintendo throws out millions of dollars on a daily basis. So fighting in court to outdo you budget-wise doesn't take much work for Nintendo. That was my final point. And then his response was, you think it's never been proven in court? Look at Disney. And so again, missing all of the context and what's happening, back to what Chadley was saying, Disney fighting to protect their IP is very different than Nintendo fighting to protect their IP, because Nintendo isn't fighting Point Crow because Point Crow is trying to use Mario in a game he's making, or Point Crow is selling Mario merch or Zelda merch. Point Crow is making content using a Nintendo IP game that he paid for, that Nintendo already owns and that everybody knows Nintendo made. He's not doing it and claiming it to be his own. Whereas Disney goes after people for using like Mickey Mouse on a shirt, because they're selling their own merchandise with somebody else's creation on it. Or people are making a movie and they use somebody that looks like Mickey Mouse, and Disney goes after them because they're making a movie with their own creation, which is really just stolen from Disney. That's where they come after you. It's very different than streaming a video game, because we don't know what's going to happen with streaming a video game because it's never been fought out in court. So again, he missed all the context that I'm not talking about Nintendo protecting their IP. I'm talking about Nintendo protecting their IP against something that yet hasn't been proven if it's devaluing their IP. And so like people go after everybody without ever considering the full context. It was the same thing with like the DK Oldies thing, where I made a video talking about DK Oldies getting a lawsuit put up against them. And, you know, I talked about how the whole point is they're saying it's refurbished. They don't refurbish their consoles, or at least YouTubers have shown it's not refurbished. And so it's false advertising. And I bring up the fact that they're also overcharging. But that was like hey, they're doing this terrible thing, and they also do this. Like, it's not a good company. And everybody is going on, well, if you don't like being overcharged, then don't buy there. You don't sue them. You guys are crybabies. The lawsuit isn't about the price. It's about the fact that they're saying, hey, we're refurbishing these things, and then they don't refurbish it. That's what the lawsuit is about. But they all miss the context of that's what that's about, and they fixate on the one sentence where I say, hey, they overcharge. It's almost like saying, you know, Chadley's got a really big beard. He also streams, but his big beard is causing problems because when he cooks, beard hair gets in his food. And then somebody responds with going, well, he's a streamer. If you don't like to stream, don't watch it. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about his beard. Like, what does streaming have to do with his beard? You know, like they just miss the context. And we live in a society now where context is whatever they decide it's going to be, and they just ignore what they don't want to address. And it's weird. It's a really weird time right now. It's a really, really weird time. Exactly, Chadley. And that's the thing. There's a lot of projects out there that I'm sure there are some that we haven't heard of that didn't make big news because maybe the creator didn't talk about it. You know, the creator got their cease and desist, and then they just kind of shut it down quietly, and everybody just assumed, oh, they just stopped working on it. And then they went on to work for the companies. Because a lot of companies realize now that fan-driven projects, one, will help with the hype, because, you know, people are going to be interested. Like the Metroid thing. How many people wanted remakes of certain Metroid games, and fans went and did their own stuff, and then they got taken down? But fans were excited about this little dev doing it. Nintendo could have taken that developer under their wing and said, hey, we're going to work with this, and then use that in their media campaign when they were going to release their game. Be like, hey, this person, we've got them working for us. Then everybody would be behind Nintendo going, yes, like you took this guy and you might have stopped the project he was doing, but you're doing something else with him. That's awesome. Let's support this. And that's not to say Nintendo isn't making money or being successful. They know what they're doing. I think the biggest gripe, and I've said this multiple times in comments, but obviously people don't read comments, and once there's like 500 comments, it's hard to see them all. But like one of the big things is people are worried that Nintendo's going to do what Konami did. Konami used to be top of the line. They used to be the company that when Konami made a game, you knew it was going to be good. And now they're the laughingstock of the gaming community. They're ridiculed by everybody. Everything they release is trash. And they're seen as the bad guys because of how they treated Hideo Kojima and everything that they did with Metal Gear and just the way that they've betrayed all the gamers. And yeah, they're making money with pachinko machines, but like they're no longer loved. And so people who had a passion for Konami IPs are now left high and dry. And so I think a lot of people are worried that Nintendo's doing the same thing, and Nintendo will end up leaving all the fans high and dry. And so when a lot of people are like, let Nintendo do what they want and let them pay for it if it's going to go bad for them, it's their problem. Except we're the ones that are going to pay for it, because in the end, they've got golden parachutes. If the company fails, those people are still going to be fine for the rest of their lives. They can just start a new business. Whereas like the fans, we're going to lose Zelda and Mario and all that stuff, and that sucks. So it's like we need to speak up almost to kind of force their hand to correct, right? It's what happened with the Nintendo creator program they had. They used to force us to be on their creator program where they would take down our videos. And enough of us fought it that they eventually took down the creator program. And they mostly left alone people streaming their stuff. I think if you push back enough, eventually you can kind of course correct and get Nintendo to get with the times and become more powerful than what they are. Because I would love to see Nintendo have a bigger share in the market with like AAA gaming. Nintendo has a big share. They've got the most sold consoles, but it's a niche thing. And a lot of people always comment, they buy Nintendo products, they play 4 or 5 games on it, and then it just sits and collects dust. I would like them to be like the PlayStation, where every year there's something new that's exciting for Nintendo that the mass group of people are going to want to play, versus right now where it's like the niche Nintendo group is excited about it and everybody else doesn't care. You know what I mean? Yeah, they have so much money that they can kind of do whatever they want. And so it sucks because they can treat their users so badly. And that really sucks. But it also, it's good because they're going to be able to make mistakes and keep going. It sucks for the community more than anything. I don't think it's going to end Nintendo anytime soon. I just don't want them to become the bad guys, right? Because like I said, Konami's still making a killing with their pachinko machines, but there's no support around their games anymore. Even Silent Hill has come from left field and everybody's kind of like anxious, and is it going to be good or is it going to get Konamified and destroyed? I don't want to see that for Nintendo, that they'll continue to have money and continue to make games and stuff, but there's not going to be any of the fan support, and it'll no longer be a console worth or a game company worth supporting. And I don't want to see that, because I do like Zelda, I do like Mario. I've owned every Nintendo console specifically because I like them so much, but I don't want to see them go down that aisle. You know what I mean? Yeah, we win. I'm way behind. I got to get going. I'm way behind, but that's okay. Anyways, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you so much for hanging out, everybody. We finally did the boss fight, even though that's all we did all stream. And I will be back on Tuesday. We'll continue with some Dead Island because I'm having a lot of fun with that. And then I don't know, I'll play whatever I feel like I'm in the mood for. Because I think one more stream of Dead Island and then I meet the requirement to get a key. And then, yeah. I'm going to get out of here. Thank you all for hanging out. I appreciate you all spending time with me, and I will see you in a few days. Have yourselves a good weekend. It's my Monday. I'm back to work. Ugh. All right. See everybody later.